Hello, Internship Wrap-Up Spring 2019. What we're going to do today is give you an overview of what we need to wrap it up, and then there is a separate section on Module 4, which you also need to do. Your performance review has already been emailed to your sponsor by Career Services. They should have received it and provided you with a copy and hopefully discussed it with you. It's submitted electronically. If they did not get it, please contact Rob DiCarlo in Career Services and let him know. Now, if your sponsor uses another form and reviewed it with you, please email that to me and we can use that in place of the one that the school does send. There's a final presentation and there are a couple of options. The first option, option 1, if you notice, I included a number of comments from students. As I was reading your journals and some of the other material that you've completed, I thought there might be some opportunities, if you'd like, to prepare a short video that we can actually use in the module. And I think if you looked at the quality of some of the things we had, it varied. But you could create a short presentation that can be used to clarify, add an example, bring up a new point. We actually have One Button Studio in South Hall that you saw those that looked very professional that you can use to produce that. So if you would like to create a brief video that we could actually incorporate into the modules, as I said, it can be something to clarify a point, expand on a point, give an example, bring up a new point. I'd encourage you to do that. So that's option number 1. What's option number 2? Option number 2, it's a final oral report. It's intended to build your personal story around your internship experience. And this all starts with skills because you learned a lot of skills. Employers are looking for skills. Your success in the future is going to be based on skills. So what are these skills again? There's the work skills. Your willingness to learn, communication. We spend some time on that in our other module, both oral and written. Then there's teamwork, collaboration, working together, planning and organization. Everybody has a hard worker and a positive attitude, and hopefully everybody kept that through the spring semester. Then there's our technical skills. Excel and Office, you really need to use them. I think you've all seen the importance of Excel in the workplace. Use of different technologies. Many of you have learned new technologies. Where do you get information and process it? You had to get, if you're doing tax return, you got information from multiple sources and you had to try to put them together and process that. Analytical skills, making decisions and solving problems. And then some job-specific skills, accounting, social media, finance, portfolio management, and having a portfolio of your marketing. So these are the skills. And we've talked about these, but this is setting the stage for option 2. These skills are going to be important for you personally in the future because whenever you have an internship or an interview, people are going to ask about your internship. So the better you can focus this in on the skills and what you've achieved, the more successful you will be. At the same time, we got skills, but when you keep thinking about it, to really be successful, whether it's an internship or a job, you need to create value for the firm, which in turn creates value for you. Let's take a moment and look at this. Hello, I'd like to start with a definition of what is value. And I think if I ask each of you what value is, we would come up with many different answers. But there's some commonality in the business world. We may look at them in sort of the following categories. That you can create savings. So if you've saved somebody money, you've created value. Efficiency, if you've made something more efficient, which can be dollars in time. That's value. A relationship, you built a relationship with a customer, a supplier, employees, a regulator, auditor. So these are relationships can create value. Service, can you improve the service to a customer? Can you make the customer experience better? Then there's expectations. what we have. So do we have we exceeded expectations? And then we have sort of the strategic value. So within this, let's just look at a couple of examples, because I think value is a tough thing. Everybody wants more value for their money. You want to make more money, you want to save more money, you want to do things faster, better. So this is going to help you as you try to think about what you did over the summer and put it into your written report and your oral report. So I'm going to run through these fairly quickly. You can go back and look at them again. Let's look at savings. You can reduce personnel costs. So maybe perhaps by you doing certain work for a firm this summer, that saved them having to hire a person or bringing in a temporary person. So you might have actually saved them money. Time savings. If you freed up time for someone to do an additional project, so if you're working with, say, a CFO, a sales manager, and you did some of their work, and that freed them up to do other more important things, that's a value. Cost in relation to alternatives. Okay, and we go back to the personnel cost. You might be cheaper in many cases than putting on a new employee or to contract it out. Getting the biggest bang for your buck. Did you really create that value for them? And value can be a cost savings, resources, personnel. Did you figure out a better way to do something that will save them long term? So that's value created by savings. And again, we have limited resources, so that can be useful. Let's look at the next one, is value created by efficiencies. And that's being more efficient, and that creates time savings. So if you look at that, if you created a spreadsheet that will save time and be more efficient for the firm, that created value for them. So they may have been doing something manually, you may have automated it. So that's an example of efficiencies. You may have looked at how something is done and made suggestions to make the process work smoother. That's a process improvement. Ability to match resources to needs. Okay, what is the need of the customer? What do they need, and how do you best match that resource? Did you improve the service delivery? Did you make something better for a customer? That's value. Did you improve the communications with the customer? I know many of you talked with customers and you improved the process. Value can be created by relationships. Now, this relationship may not be as much for the sponsor as it is for you. You may have created your own value by creating these relationships with those that worked with you, worked for the same firm you did, your boss, other professionals you came into contact with. You built those relationships that will benefit you in the long term. You might have created a public perception that was positive. But remember, relationships are about human beings and are very tangible. Networks. You have created a network of people to now interact with to share knowledge. Value can be created by better service. Now, there's efficiencies, and then there's better service. An increased level of service. You remove constraints for a customer. You made the job easier for them to get done. You removed a barricade. You created a positive change. Maybe you did have a real influence on the firm in your behavior, your attitude, or whatever. So consider that part of that. Did you create and provide more useful information for them? Value can be created by expectations. Okay, is that, and these are all personal preferences, and what's desirable? What do we expect? You make a choice, ability to do more, and think about that, the ability to do more. What did you allow people in your firm to do? And it can be things that, anything that increases the quality of life of the firm. It can take on a lot of different things. Access and accessibility are important parts of expectations. And did you meet the expectations, or did you exceed them for what your sponsor anticipated? So you might have created value for your sponsor by going above and beyond what was expected of you initially. And I know many of you have done that. And that's with the ease. How easy was it for you to become part of that firm? What was your interaction like? Was it positive? Did you contribute to the teamwork? And the last one is value can be created strategically. which is a long-term view of value. It impacts the future. It helps you prioritize, and its outcomes for the firm. But I encourage you to look at it from your point of view. Was value created for you strategically this summer? Did it help you better focus on what you'd like to do when you graduate from SUNY Geneseo? You've either confirmed what you'd like to do, identified some things you didn't know you liked, and be able to go from that. So how has this impacted you is really what's next. Value is important in everything you do in your future career. Employers are looking for people who create value. I'd like you to start by thinking about your internship that you're almost done with. How did you create value for your sponsor? Look at what's in these notes. I'm going to post them for you. How did you create value for your sponsor? Can you succinctly summarize it? Can you quantify it? What value did you create for them? Then, what value was created for you? What value did you get out? Can you put a definition, an explanation upon the value? Could you put a price around the value? The answers to these questions are part of your written and oral presentation. I want to go back to the future in value. You generated value for your employer, your sponsor, and they generated value for you. Think about this on a long-term basis. Whatever you do, you need to generate value for your employer. You either need to generate revenue by new customers, new products, new markets, new pricing, new efficiencies. You have to be able to control expenses, okay, or reduce costs, or figure out how to make things more efficiently. Other value creators are you can develop corporate talent. How do you recruit, retain, train, and coach people? How can you improve processes? How can you solve problems? You're going to be creating value the rest of your life. And I think you might want to, as we get into skills, what's your value in the future? Okay, now that you have that section, we've talked about skills, we've talked about creating value. Let's go through what the instructions are for the final oral report. The presentation should be interactive and be around 10 minutes. We're going to be using a conference room. Fellow interns, sponsors will be there. Format is up to you. I encourage you to use PowerPoint, Prezi, or other material. Be creative. We want to see strong communication of ideas. Don't read your notes. Talk. It's going to be a very small group of people who are going to be there. So think of it as a discussion with some notes in the background on your overhead or on your PowerPoints. Couple of different paths. If you already have a job, congratulations. And the oral for you is to demonstrate what you learned during your internship. So you start, tell us what job you've been offered and what you will be doing. Where will you be based? So the first step is to tell us about and let us celebrate your success. What job have you been offered? What you're going to be doing? Where you'll be based. Straightforward. Second, reflect. Why did you get this job? Think of 4 specific skills that earns you the job from the list that I previously shared. Give examples of what you did to demonstrate those skills. So you could use a 2-column approach. One column has the skill, and the second column has an example of that. What value did you create for your sponsor this semester? Can you quantify it? And the last is, what advice would you give to a freshman or sophomore who wanted to be in your position in the next couple of years? You've been successful. Now, how can you share that with others? So that's for those of you who have a job already. If you're coming back in the fall, or if you don't have a job yet, it's an opportunity for you to demonstrate what you have learned during your internship. It's more important that it's designed for you to build your interview skills and to get the job or internship you want. This is the foundation, because this is what people are going to talk to you about in an interview. So be prepared. Number one, define the job you would like to have and what skills are needed for the job. What did you do in your internship around these skills? Give 2 or more examples of what you did, but frame it within the context of a skill. So again, 2 columns. 1 column you put the skill, 2nd column you put the example of what you did. What value did you create for your sponsor? Can you quantify it? Tell me how the skills you developed during the internship contributes to the success you will have in the potential job. How well were you prepared? Now, if you notice, we're not talking a lot about the company that you work for. You may find that it may take 1 minute or so to tell us a little bit about the company so we can understand things within context. This is about you, what your hopes are, what your expectations of life are, what skills you've developed, and how did you create value so that you can continue to do that. So as we keep going, sign up for one of the following dates and times. Some of you have already done this. Wednesday, May 8th at 2 and 3:30. Thursday, May 9th, 9, 11, 1, or 3. So email me, first come, first serve. And I think about the 2 options. Option 1 is contributing to making our modules better by preparing a brief video, a professional one. You can use One Button Studio. And you can use it to build on, expand, use some of the interactive behavior skills. That's an option. Or number 2, to reflect on your skills and prepare for your future. If you have any questions, please let me know.